Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear me clearly, for what I am about to say is not simply words. It is a declaration of hope, a proclamation of faith, and a truth that God Himself is ready to pour into you right now. I want you to understand that no matter the weight of your financial struggle, no matter the debts that threaten to overwhelm you, no matter the months of uncertainty and nights of worry that have plagued your heart, God is turning your struggle into overflow. Hear me when I say your time of lack is over. Your season of hardship is being lifted. God has not forgotten you. He has not forsaken you. And He is ready to demonstrate His abundance in ways that will leave you astonished. I know some of you are sitting here thinking, how can this be? My bills are stacked high, my income is scarce, and I have prayed and prayed with no change. I understand your doubt. I understand your frustration because the human heart struggles to see the invisible hand of God at work. But I tell you this, what God is preparing for you is far greater than what you can see with your eyes. The God who made the heavens and the earth, the God who controls the winds and the rain, the God who calls the stars by name, He is the same God who calls forth your provision. He is the God who multiplies, the God who restores, the God who turns barrenness into abundance. Your financial struggle has not come to stay. It has come to prepare you. Every moment of scarcity, every sleepless night, every worry-laden day has been crafting within you the endurance, the faith, and the wisdom to steward the blessings God is about to release. There is a purpose in the struggle, a design in the difficulty, and a divine appointment in your persistence. You see, God does not merely give us wealth for comfort alone. He gives us abundance to display His glory, to testify to His faithfulness, and to equip us to impact others. When God moves, it is never just about you. It is about His kingdom, His purpose, and His timing. I want you to understand this truth with every fiber of your being. The God who provides is not limited by your past mistakes, your current debts, or the emptiness of your bank account. He is not constrained by the human impossibilities that surround you. When God acts, He brings miracles that defy logic, blessings that confound understanding, and overflow that cannot be contained. Your financial struggle is not a dead end. It is the soil in which God is planting a harvest. And I tell you, the harvest is coming. It is coming with a fullness that will amaze you, a richness that will astonish your neighbors, and a testimony that will inspire everyone who witnesses it. Now, let us speak plainly. God is not pleased when His children live in constant lack, despair, or fear. He delights in your prosperity. He rejoices in your increase, and He longs to see you walk in freedom from financial bondage. But this requires faith, faith that is unshakable, faith that is persistent, faith that refuses to be moved by the circumstances that scream impossibility. Faith is the key that unlocks heaven's storehouses, the force that turns impossibility into reality, and the confidence that tells your spirit, God is working even when I cannot see it. I urge you to hold on to this faith, to guard it, to nourish it with prayer, praise, and unwavering trust. Do not let doubt creep in. Do not let fear whisper lies, and do not allow discouragement to take root. God is faithful, and His timing is perfect. I know some of you have tried every human solution, counted every coin, sought advice from every source, worked long hours, sacrificed sleep, and yet the struggle persists. So let me remind you that God's way is not like the world's way. His methods are higher. His solutions are supernatural, and His provisions come from places you cannot anticipate. There is a divine overflow reserved for you, one that cannot be manufactured by human effort alone. God is preparing doors to open, opportunities to arise, and resources to flow that are entirely beyond human conception. When He moves, the increase comes suddenly, it comes abundantly, and it comes in ways that leave you in awe. But listen carefully. This overflow does not arrive to those who are passive. God blesses the diligent, the faithful, the obedient, and the ones who honor Him with their hearts and their lives. He blesses the one who even in struggle chooses to give, to serve, to remain righteous, and to maintain integrity. The riches of God are not only financial, they are spiritual, emotional, and relational. And when God decides to release the financial overflow, it comes intertwined with wisdom, favor, and divine connections that ensure it is sustainable and transformational. God's blessings are never random. They are precise, intentional, and powerful. Think for a moment about the God who parts seas, commands the winds, and sustains the universe. Is he not able to sustain you? Is he not able to turn your situation around? Is he not able to take the little you have and multiply it into abundance beyond imagination? Yes, he can and he will, but you must position yourself to receive. You must cultivate gratitude, faith, and obedience. You must refuse to murmur, complain, or despair. You must recognize that your financial struggle is temporary and the season of overflow is imminent. The God who has carried you this far is the same God who will carry you into your overflow. Now I want to speak directly to the heart of the weary, the burdened, the anxious. I want you to lift your eyes from the ledgers, the bills, the bank statements, and the scarcity that surrounds you. Look instead to God, the source of all provision, the author of abundance, and the master of miracles. Speak to him in prayer. Praise him in faith and declare with boldness that your lack is ending. Your financial chains are breaking and your overflow is on the way. Say it out loud if you must. For words backed by faith carry the authority of heaven itself. Your declaration is not empty. It is a lever that God will use to shift circumstances, summon resources, and manifest abundance. I want to remind you of this. The God who turns your struggle into overflow is not limited by your past failures. He is not hindered by your current debts or by the mistakes that you may have made. His mercy is fresh, his provision is constant, and his timing is impeccable. He sees the prayers you have whispered in secret, the tears you have shed in quiet desperation, and the faith you have nurtured in the silence of your heart. Nothing escapes his knowledge. Everything is known to him, and everything is moving according to his perfect plan to bring you out of struggle and into abundance. There will be those who doubt, those who scoff, and those who cannot see what God is doing in your life. Ignore them. Their doubt is not your reality. Your reality is shaped by God's promises, by his faithfulness, and by his power to bring life from barrenness. The overflow that God has in store for you will not only meet your needs, it will exceed your expectations. It will break limitations, defy reasoning, and bring glory to God. And when it arrives, you will know without a shadow of a doubt that God is the source, God is the provider, and God alone has turned your financial struggle into abundance. I encourage you now to commit with every ounce of your being to trust God fully. Lay down the worry, release the anxiety, and embrace the certainty that God is working behind the scenes. He is orchestrating opportunities, aligning people, and multiplying resources in ways that you cannot yet perceive. Your responsibility is to remain faithful, to honor him, and to walk with integrity. The overflow is guaranteed to the faithful, to those who persevere, and to those who maintain a heart devoted to God. Hear me now, for the words I speak are not mere encouragement. They are a declaration from heaven to your heart. God is not distant. He is not unaware of your struggle. He sees every moment of stress, every sleepless night, every tear shed over your financial burdens. And I tell you today, it's not indifferent. God delights in the prosperity of his servants. And he is orchestrating a season in your life where scarcity will no longer have a voice. What you have called lack, what you have accepted as limitation is about to be transformed. God is moving and his movement is unstoppable. The overflow that is coming is not the overflow of men. It is the overflow of God, the supernatural, boundless, and eternal provision that comes only from him. You may be asking, how will this happen? How will God turn my struggle into abundance? Listen carefully. God works in ways that challenge the logic of the world. He multiplies where there seems to be nothing. He releases favor in places where doors appear to be shut. He sends provision in ways that are unexpected and undeniable. Your human mind may attempt to measure, calculate, or limit God's power. But understand this, God's capacity to provide is infinite. He does not operate on scarcity. He operates on abundance. Your limited perspective cannot contain the fullness of what he has prepared for you. He is able to take a single opportunity, a single effort, a single seed of faith can transform it into a harvest that defies comprehension. Do not underestimate the power of your faith to move heaven. Faith is not simply belief. It is action. It is alignment. It is the declaration that your hope is placed fully in God. Faith is what enables you to lift your eyes beyond the bills, the debts, the insufficiencies, and see the provision that is already on its way. Faith is the lever by which the invisible becomes visible, by which your struggle becomes testimony. God honors faith that endures, that refuses to yield to discouragement, that continues to praise in the midst of lack. It is this faith that draws God near, that positions you to receive, and that turns what seems impossible into a reality that cannot be denied. I want you to understand that your struggle has a purpose. Every moment of difficulty has been refining you, teaching you, and preparing you to steward the blessings God is about to release. God does not give abundance to those who are unprepared. He gives it to those whose hearts are aligned with His will, whose hands are willing to work diligently, and whose spirits are humble and obedient. The struggle is not punishment, it is preparation. And when God releases the overflow, you will not only be lifted, you will be transformed. You will see yourself not just as a recipient, but as a vessel of God's power, a steward of His blessings, and a witness to His glory. Consider this. God's provision is never accidental. It is intentional. It is not random, and it is not dependent on human opinion or circumstance. He sees the exact moment, the exact way, and the exact resources that will bring you into abundance. Even when every human possibility seems exhausted, God remains unlimited. His power is not hindered by economic downturns, by lack of opportunity, or by the mistakes of the past. He is the God of restoration, the God of multiplication, and the God who makes a way where there is no way. Your current situation does not define your future. God does. And let me remind you that God's provision is hope. When He brings overflow, it is not only financial, it is spiritual, relational, and emotional. The abundance of God carries wisdom, discernment, and divine connections. It is provision that sustains and strengthens. It is blessing that does not merely fill a need, but equips you to walk in authority, influence, and purpose. God's generosity is not limited to your immediate desires. It encompasses your destiny. And when you recognize this, you will not only be grateful, you will be responsible, diligent, and wise in how you manage what God entrusts to you. I hear the doubts rising in your mind, the whispers of fear and uncertainty. You may think, what if God delays? What if my struggle continues? But I say to you, those delays are not denials. They are seasons of preparation. God is aligning every detail, orchestrating every encounter, and positioning every resource so that when He moves, the result will be undeniable, overwhelming, and permanent. You will look back one day and see that every moment of waiting was purposeful, every trial was necessary, and every tear shed was not in vain. Do not settle for mediocrity. Do not accept limitation, and do not live in fear of lack. Declare with boldness that God is turning your financial struggle into overflow. Speak it into existence with faith that cannot be shaken. Act with diligence and integrity. Serve with a willing heart, and watch as God moves. When He does, the overflow will not simply meet your needs. It will astonish you. It will inspire those around you, and it will glorify God in ways that cannot be ignored. Your testimony is being written now in the midst of your struggle. The story of your breakthrough is unfolding even before you see it. God is faithful. He is just. He is powerful. And He is determined to bless those who trust Him, obey Him, and wait patiently for His perfect timing. The overflow is coming. Your scarcity is ending. Your debt, your lack, your limitations, all of it is being turned around by the hand of God. Prepare your heart to receive it. Guard your faith. Praise God before you see the results, and watch as the impossible becomes undeniable, as the hopeless finds hope. And as your struggle becomes a testimony of divine provision, you may feel weak now, burdened and unsure of what the future holds. That is present. The weakness you feel is the canvas upon which He will paint a picture of abundance. The uncertainty you experience is the stage on which He will display His power. The lack you endure is the soil from which He will grow provision. When God moves, He does not move partially. He moves fully. He transforms, He multiplies, and He elevates. He does not come to give a little. He comes to give the overflow that changes the course of your life forever. I urge you to take this truth into your heart. God's blessing is your inheritance. It is not reserved for someone else. It is not limited by circumstance, and it is not bound by human understanding. God's blessing is abundant, it is powerful, and it is relentless. It is designed to break chains, to lift burdens, and to establish you firmly in a position of influence, purpose, and provision. Your struggle does not diminish the power of God. It magnifies it. Your waiting does not delay His promise. It strengthens it. And your faith, even in the smallest measure, is the seed from which your abundance will spring. Listen closely, for what I am about to say is not mere encouragement. It is a call to awaken the power of God in your life. Every hardship you face, every financial trial that has left you weary and anxious is being transformed by God's hand. The God who rules over heaven and earth, the God whose understanding is infinite, is turning your struggle into overflow. I do not speak lightly. This is a truth that shakes the foundations of despair and replaces it with a certainty that cannot be broken. God's abundance is coming for you, and it will arrive in a way that will silence every voice of doubt, every thought of fear, and every shadow of limitation. Consider the ways of God. He is never rushed, never careless, and never mistaken. Every step He takes, every blessing He sends is deliberate. The scarcity you have known is not a sign of His absence. It is a sign of His preparation. God does not deliver His provision haphazardly. He prepares the way so that when abundance arrives, it cannot be lost or squandered. He equips you, molds you, and strengthens you in the waiting. The sleepless nights, the uncertainty, the stress, they are all instruments in His hands to shape a heart that is ready to receive, to manage, and to magnify His blessings. I want you to hear me. God's overflow is not limited to mere survival. It is a transformation, a turning point, a divine repositioning. You have been living in lack, and you have been burdened by what seems insurmountable. But God is not a God of limitation. He is the God of multiplication. The God who made the heavens from nothing, who caused the stars to shine where there was darkness, He is able to take what little you have and expand it beyond your wildest imagination. What seemed impossible yesterday will become undeniable today. And the overflow that God brings will not only meet your needs, it will surpass them. Faith is your instrument in this divine work. Faith does not waver. It does not question. And it does not retreat when circumstances appear bleak. Faith declares with boldness, God is my provider. God is my sustainer. God is turning my struggle into abundance. When you speak these words with conviction, you are not uttering empty phrases. You are aligning yourself with the power of God. Every declaration backed by faith is a seed, and God waters it, multiplies it, and causes it to bear fruit. Understand this. God responds to faith that is unwavering, persistent, and active. Do not allow the voice of doubt to sway you. Do not let the fears of yesterday dictate your future. God is greater than your problems, stronger than your debts, and mightier than the obstacles in your path. You must also understand the role of stewardship in God's plan. Overflow is not given to those who are careless with what they already possess. God blesses those who honor Him with integrity, diligence, and humility. Every small act of obedience, every step of responsibility, and every moment of honesty builds a foundation for the abundance God intends to release. Do not despise the little you have, for in God's hands, even a small seed can grow into a harvest beyond comprehension. Treat what God has given you with respect. Manage it wisely and watch as He multiplies it into overflowing provision. And now, let me remind you of the miraculous nature of God's provision. He does not move according to human expectation, and He often works in ways that defy logic. Doors will open where none seemed possible. Opportunities will arise where there were only obstacles. Resources will flow from directions you never imagined. God delights in surprising His children, in confounding human understanding, and in showing that the source of all abundance is not human effort. It is Him alone. When God moves, scarcity becomes plenty. Poverty is replaced with provision, and struggle gives way to supernatural increase. Do not allow your eyes to be fixed on your present circumstances. Look instead to the one who holds the universe in His hands. When your focus is on God, fear loses its grip, anxiety loses power, and hope rises like the morning sun. Declare God's promises over your life. Speak boldly that your financial struggle is ending. Rejoice in faith before the increase is visible. When you honor God with your praise, your obedience, and your trust, you create a spiritual atmosphere in which abundance can flow freely. Remember this: God's timing is perfect. What seems delayed is never denied. He orchestrates every detail, every encounter, every opportunity, so that when the overflow comes, it is complete, undeniable, and transformative. The struggle you have endured is shaping your perspective, refining your heart, and preparing you to receive more than you ever imagined. Your perseverance, your patience, and your trust are not wasted. They are the very elements God uses to ensure that the blessing He sends is lasting, abundant, and powerful. You may feel small now, overwhelmed, and uncertain. That is the very moment when God is most active. Your weakness is the canvas on which He will paint His abundance. Your fear is the backdrop against which He will demonstrate His power. Your lack is the soil from which He will grow supernatural provision. God does not come partially. He comes in fullness. He does not bring mere relief. He brings transformation. He does not provide to satisfy temporary needs alone. He provides to establish you in a place of lasting abundance. Take this truth to heart. God's overflow is your inheritance. It is your birthright as His servant. It is not limited by your circumstances, delayed by your mistakes, or restricted by human understanding. It is divine, intentional, and unstoppable. When God moves, no obstacle can hinder, no limitation can contain, and no opposition can prevent His blessing. Your struggle is temporary, but God's provision is eternal. Your season of scarcity is fleeting, but God's abundance is permanent. I urge you now to lift your eyes, to strengthen your faith, and to declare boldly that God is turning your financial struggle into overflow. Speak it, believe it, love it, act with diligence, honor, and integrity. Serve with a willing heart, rejoice in anticipation, and watch as the impossible becomes reality. As hope replaces despair and as God's power transforms every area of your life, the testimony of your breakthrough is already being written. God is faithful. He is just. He is powerful. And He will not allow your struggle to remain. He will not let your prayers go unheard. He will not allow your faith to be in vain. The overflow is coming, and it will arrive in a way that will astonish you, inspire others, and glorify the power of God beyond measure. Now, as we stand together in the presence of God's promise, I urge you to lift your hearts and examine the path you have been walking. Reflect deeply on where you have placed your trust, where your faith is wavered, and where you may have relied on your own strength instead of the unlimited power of God. The time has come to release all fear, all doubt, and all reliance on what you can see with human eyes. God is calling you to a higher level of trust, a deeper level of surrender, and a fuller alignment with His purpose. Your financial struggle, your worries, your anxieties, lay them down. Bring them before the throne of God and declare with unwavering faith that you are ready to receive His abundance. Commit yourself now to walk in obedience, to honor God in every choice, every word, and every action. Let integrity guide you, diligence strengthen you, and gratitude shape your heart. For when you align yourself fully with God, you position your life to receive the fullness of His blessing. The struggle that has weighed you down is not your destination. It is the preparation for the overflow that God is bringing. Stand firm in faith. Rejoice in hope and act with courage, knowing that God's provision is coming with power and precision. I challenge you to speak boldly over your life the truth that God is turning your struggle into abundance. Let this declaration not be a whisper, but a roar of faith that rises above every circumstance, above every challenge, and above every limitation. Allow your heart to be filled with gratitude now, even before you see the increase. Because faith honors God and opens the door for His supernatural provision. Walk forward with confidence, for the God who has carried you this far will not abandon you now. Let this be the moment that transforms your life forever. Let your spirit rise, your hope be renewed, and your purpose be clarified. Walk in the certainty that God is with you, that His timing is perfect, and that His power is sufficient to turn every difficulty into victory, every debt into provision, and every trial into testimony. Embrace this truth and let it take root in your soul. God is faithful. God is mighty, and God's abundance is flowing toward you. Now rise from doubt, leave behind despair, and step fully into the life of overflow that God has prepared. Hold fast to faith, cherish His promises, and live boldly in the assurance that your struggle is ended. Your season of lack is over, and the divine provision of God is yours to receive, to steward, and to glorify. Let this truth resonate in every corner of your being, echo in every thought, inspire every action. For God's power is unmatched. His love is unending, and His blessing is coming to you.